Hey guys, welcome um, to our Q&A. Hopefully everybody's doing fine. You guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
Keith and Dorothy. We've got Dorothy Jackson in the
Yeah.
house. We're excited to hear from her. You guys have any questions, go to the chat box. We actually didn't get a lot of questions. And so this forum is really for you guys to ask your questions, get your questions answered so that you can get out here and start making some money. I will say, one question that I get, and I'll ask Dorothy as well, but question I get a couple times a week is this still a good time to invest? And to be honest, I've gotten this question in any kind of market over the last 10, 20 years. And the answer is always the same. It's always a good time to invest. And I think I gave this example last week on Friday at the Lunch and Learn that I put two properties under contract last week. And after day one of putting it on the market, a wholesale deal, got a contract. The other one, after 2 days, got three contracts. So that tells me that there's opportunities out here, but not only that, there's cash buyers. Um, I looked at two opportunities yesterday. Um, one with Deborah Prescott, one of our coaching students, and another lady that got me from my postcard. And so there's cash buyers out here. The one from my postcard was a probate. No, was it a probate? Wasn't a probate. She's power of attorney for her elderly sister. And then the other one, Deborah Prescott, she's just been following up for almost a year. And finally, because they're getting ready to go into foreclosure, decided to go ahead and give her a call. And so I went over yesterday, and hopefully we have that under contract today or tomorrow.
Good.
So there's always opportunities, you guys. Despite what you guys might hear in the news, there's always opportunity. And so before we really get going, let's introduce Dorothy. Some of you guys know Dorothy. She's at a lot of things that we do. She's blessed us with her presence tonight. She's been on my podcast and she has sat on panels. And so she's got a lot of experience. And so Dorothy, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself?
Okay, absolutely. First of all, Gregory and Keith, thank you for this opportunity to participate in this Q&A. Greg, I never take it lightly or for granted when you ask me to speak. So thank you.
Oh, I like that, Dorothy. I like that.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dorothy Jackson. I buy houses for cash in 7 to 14 days. My company solves a lack of money problems for sellers who own distressed houses that have become a financial burden. My company is Real Estate Capital, LLC. I am a real estate investor. My service provides fast and easy solutions to residential property owners who need to sell their houses regardless of the condition. I currently have a service with an undeniable brand loyalty that already has support from the real estate investing community in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I am founder and CEO.
Dorothy, do you have a teleprompter? Was you reading that?
Absolutely not. No, this is really everyone. You should have a 60-second canned presentation to introduce yourself, the problem that your company solves, the name of your company, your service, who your customer is. My customer is burned out, tired landlords. And you should already let people know that you are already established in the real estate community, real estate investing community, and then tell what role you play. I am founder and CEO. So that's just, everyone should have a canned 60-second presentation that you can say on the fly.
And so, and it also shows credibility.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
And so, and the reason I say that is because I went one of the appointments yesterday in Temple Hills, they asked one of the ladies said, asked me, how long have you been in business? Because they want to see the credibility. And if you haven't been in business for a long time, they say, well, me and my team has been in business for over 30 years.
Yes.
And so I was able to say 30 years, and it kind of shut down that conversation.
That's good.
And then also on that same appointment, when I talked to them on the phone to schedule the appointment, I went through sort of a litany of questions. And so one of the questions was, do you have an idea what you want to sell the house for? And she said 300,000. When I ran the Mayo formula, Mayo said for me to offer 230. And so 230. And so when we got there, because I came real close to not even going, I was going to send one of my real estate agents, but something just told me just to go. And so I went. And so we had a little back and forth on the price. They wanted to stay with the 300. I couldn't go over. My Mayo said 230, but I told him I couldn't go over 220. So I just wanted to kind of use that 10,000 if I needed it in the future. But one thing, couple lessons here. Number one, I was okay because I said, well, if you want 300, no problem. I own a real estate brokerage. We can list the property. So if you are a real estate agent, there's no shame in getting a listing, no shame whatsoever. So I did say that. But then the more I started talking about the benefits of selling your house to me as an investor at the 220, the more they started to perk up. I said, you just take what you want and I'll get rid of everything else. I said that, so take what you want. I said, I'm buying the house as is. I said, a buyer, you put a house on the market, probably an owner occupied buyer will buy the property. They're going to want you to do some things. I said that there's no commission. And I said a few other things that and then I broke down the numbers. So with no commissions at 6%, you're going to save 18,000 now already. So if we subtract that 18 from the 300, we're at, whatever that is, 272. So now I'm breaking it down.
Yes.
They had a house full of stuff. I said, you're not going to have to fix anything. You're not going to have to take anything. And I broke down what that number might be. And so I got them really close to, the 220, 230 that I wanted. But I was able to say all of those things. I can buy quickly. Ma'am, how fast do you want to sell the house? She said, right, we're ready. We're right away. I've got power of attorney. So I can close quickly. I can close in 2 weeks. You put it on the market with a company like ours, it's going to take maybe in this market, a few weeks to get a buyer. Then they've got to go through financing. We pay cash. And so I was able to say all of those things in the end, we're going to call you. We're going to call you. I said, well, can I follow up with you by Wednesday or Thursday? Yeah, give us a call. And so the more I talk, the more I feel like I was able to talk them into just selling it to an investor and all the benefits of selling to the investor. And so you talk about your elevator speech, which you need to have, but you also need to know how to negotiate and what to say.
Absolutely.
And so from your experience, are those some of the same things that you say and do?
Yes. When people called, I have a list of questions that I ask them. And I tell them while we're speaking, I'm going to pull some information. So I'm not an agent, but I do have access to HomeSnap. So I go on to HomeSnap. I pull up the subject property. their address, and I started getting some information from them. And then I asked them a series of questions. I asked them, how much are they asking me to pay for the property? How soon did they want to sell the house? Have they listed the house with the realtor? When they tell me the amount they want, I ask them, how did they come up with that amount? And I basically say, if you deem that for some reason we're not a good fit, please let me know during this conversation. And I said, and of course, I'll do the same as well. And then I will get, just get more information. I'll ask them questions about the repairs, the plumbing, the electric, because I realized that the way you renovate in Congress Heights, Washington, D.C. is not the same as you're going to renovate in, let's say, Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. So I know that that wherever all buyers or renovators are going to spend their money on the plumbing, the electric, the roof, and there's another area, the plumbing, electric, the roof, and the HVAC. And so I get those questions, and, I ask them about that. And they all say, oh, my house is in, excellent condition. And I said, well, it sounds like it. So then I make an appointment to go out and see. But if they are, even if they're set on, for example, 500,000, and I know I'm not going to pay 500,000, I'm still going to go out, perhaps. Depending on the conversation. Now, Greg, just a side note, I was at a meeting, I think it was right before Christmas. It was one of your meet and greet, or not meet and greets, your lunch and learns. And I was talking about a property in Bowie, and the lady wanted like 430 or 35. And I kept talking to her. I've been working with her since May. And we had a conversation 2 weeks ago, and I emailed her. She emailed me back. She said, Dorothy, give me your best offer. No matter how low it is, give me your best offer. We may be able to do business, if not now, later in the future. So even if the person says they want 500, and I know I'm not going to pay them over 250, maybe 280, I still may go out and look at the property, because no today doesn't mean no tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's a good point, because I came real close not to going to that property in Temple Hills yesterday. I came real close just to send one of my agents. So I thought we were just too far away. They said 300,000 over the phone, and my number was 230. But something told me, Dorothy, just go.
Absolutely.
Something told me go. And when I looked at the house, the house needed, it looked like the garage didn't have a permit, because it was a 2-car garage, but you could only get into one side. And I know that's not legal. And so and something told me to go. And I'm so happy, to your point, I'm so happy that I did go, because you just never know what can come up of the appointment. Yes. But then I was able to get another appointment in Temple Hills, and I just made the appointments back to back.
That's
and
good.
So but then also you for everyone listening, it's good to get out there, meet people, practice, your negotiation, practice your elevator speech, and then you follow up, because you just never know.
Yes.
And like the second appointment I went to with Deborah Prescott, she had been following up for over a year with these people, and now they're ready. And so you make a good point. Sometimes you just go, because you just never know. And then you're out in the field. You can door knock that street. You can put flyers up in the area. You can even learn, a new area. So it's just always good to go. I agree with you.
Yes. And that's excuse me. One of the things I do is when they're on the fence about whether they're going to buy with an investor or whether they're going to list it, I just take out a pencil and paper and my phone calculator, and I do the numbers right there. And it really works out to be more like about 13% if they if they list with a realtor, because there's going to be some closing costs, there's going to be the recordation and transfer fee. If it's an owner occupant, they're going to ask for some type of a decorator's allowance if the house does need some type of work on it as well. And then I also tell people when I'm qualifying them on the phone, I take all the guesswork out. I tell them that if you list with a realtor, it may take 30 to 45 days for you to get a contract. And then once you get a ratified contract, then it may, be on the market another 30 to 45 days. But with me, I take all the guesswork out. I can buy between, in 7 to 14 days. And then, and that usually will help people a lot as well.
Good. And so Dorothy, how long have you been, because you primarily wholesale, how long have you been doing that, and do you do it full time?
Yes, I do. I started wholesaling really in 2011, but I didn't particularly, I was still teaching myself the business, and I've had mentors, but I just wasn't, getting the real information that I needed. And not to discredit my mentors, because I have, really good mentors, but actively and full time, I've been doing it since about 2015. 2015, I really got a good handle on wholesaling residential real estate. That's I used to say the first thing is build your buyers list, but that's maybe like the fourth step, because in my opinion, there's 6 easy steps to wholesaling residential real estate. And that is, you have to get your phone ringing. It doesn't matter whether it's social media, direct mail marketing, which is what I use. I use direct mail marketing. So get your phone ringing, and then you have to know how to analyze the deal. And then you have to, and then you need to go out and look at the property. You put the property under contract. Then once you have a contract, if the numbers are good, you can get your property wholesaled very quickly, because I have always made sure that my buyers are strong buyers, like yourself, Greg. I have several buyers that are strong buyers. Everyone that I've been working with and I pick up buyers all the time, but all the buyers that I've picked up over the years are still in business. This high inflation, high interest rates, property sitting on the market longer has not deterred any of them at all. So to answer your question earlier, it's always a good time to buy real estate.
Absolutely.
You just have to know how to buy. And I've always, when I put a property under contract, I would do it at between 50 and 70%. So it could be 65, but now I'm starting at, 50, 65%, and then wholesaling it at 70, because in this market, I'm buying low and I'm selling low. I'm not attempting to make it, hit the ball out of the ballpark on any one deal.
I had, is that something that's changed for you recently because of the economy, or it's just always been that way?
What?
In terms of, well, I do remember, I think it was last year, you were trying to get the properties actually lower than what I teach, the Mayo formula, which is good. It's more money for you in your pocket. But for about 30 days, sort of like in December, when I noticed the market changing, I said to myself, I need to change with the market. And to your point, not try to hit a home run on every deal. But what I've found in the last 30 days, or at least this month, at least in January, is that there's still so many cash buyers out here that I'm not changing my strategy in terms of I am trying to not necessarily hit a home run, but get the most that I can from each deal, maximize each opportunity. Because I had a property in I didn't send this one to you, but I had a property in Woodridge, Northeast. And I had
Yes.
a bidding. To my surprise, I had a bidding war, and my attitude was, I put on the contract for 400. I said, well, the market has changed. ARVs are coming down. Just put it out there. My first thought was to put it out there at 450, but I said no. Let's just be conservative. The market's changing. I put it out there at 420, and it became a bidding war. And they bid it all the way up to what I thought initially to 450, and we're under contract for 450. And so there's lots of and so I invested in this program where I have access to talk about cash buyers list, like over 1,000 cash buyers in any area.
Yes.
And so we, meaning Susan, sent those opportunities, those recent opportunities, to that cash buyers list. And that's where I got all these new cash buyers.
Yes.
And it just became a bidding war.
Yeah, and what I have been, I have always got deals under contract at 50 to 65, and I would go up to 70 in really competitive markets, and then I would wholesale at 75. But I'm still getting them under contract at 50 and 60. But when I do the numbers at 50%, 65%, and 70%, and see which works best. But now I'm primarily focusing more on getting it under contract at between 50 and 65% and wholesaling at 70, maybe 75. But I'm just interested in being able to get rid of the property as quickly as possible.
And so you mentioned, I was taking notes, you mentioned the marketing, getting the opportunities, analyzing, putting them under contract, and then finding the cash buyer.
Absolutely.
Which is excellent.
Yeah.
I remember last year, I gave you a deal in Jefferson Heights, and you quickly analyzed that deal. You quickly put that thing under contract, and we quickly closed on that deal where I had two other cash buyers where the contracts fell apart. I called you, and all the things that you just mentioned, you quickly did.
And Greg, can I just say this? That was June 24th, 2022. Yeah, that was June 24th, 2022, and we closed July 1st, 2022. We closed in 7 days. And the person that actually bought the deal, who I wholesaled it to, was not on my buyers list. I was working with my buyers, and my buyers weren't biting, and I had to keep negotiating, talking to you. And then and it was on a Tuesday morning, and I called you at 6 a.m. I said, Greg, I just remember like it's just I said, Greg, my buyers as of now, I just don't have a buyer. And I said, I just don't have a buyer. And you said, well, Dorothy, okay, thank you for trying. So we hung up the phone. So I said, try. Really, this is what I said, try. All this work, okay. Because in the original Star Wars, I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi that said to Luke Skywalker, you either do or you don't try. And so I don't have the word try in my vocabulary. I say attempted or endeavor. I don't use the word try. And so when we hung up the phone, I said, try. All this work I put into this, I've been up late calling my buyers and emailing, try. So I text the person who bought the deal. Now, the backstory on that buyer was I was sitting on my couch one day, and I got this idea. Actually, it was God. You get anybody that knows me, I'm a woman of faith through Christ Jesus. So really, the Spirit of God said, call the buyer whose comp you're using to see if that person wants to buy your deal. So I skip traced the buyer. I went back. I I Googled no, I went on the tax records to find out who owned the LLC. Then I went to the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation, got some other information. Then I skipped Tracer. I think I'll use whitepages.com, found the buyer. And so this person buys houses for cash. And so I had called her and her partner. They said, no, you want too much. And then you and I had talked about it. So when you said try, I said, oh no, as much as I've been working, we're going to do business. So I text the person, and within a few minutes, the person called me back. That was on a Tuesday. We closed 3 days later on Friday.
And so what you did, Dorothy, is you found a cash buyer who had already bought in that area.
Absolutely. That person, the person's house, okay, the comp I was using, this person, renovated it.
And so we can manually do it the way you did it. I actually have a program that does all of what you just mentioned. I have a program that does all that for you.
Okay.
That's why great. When I say I've got like over 1,000 cash buyers, this program, I just, all I have to do is plug in the address. Yeah. And that program will give me all the cash buyers who have bought in that area.
Wow.
That's great. PropStream has that same program as well.
Okay.
That's neat. That's neat.
Yeah. So PropStream has it. And then this program that I use, that I bought into, I forgot PropStream does have that. That is, Dorothy, so powerful. You manually did it, but
and it took me a few minutes.
But yes, but like PropStream and the program that I bought into, that's how I was able to create a bidding war. But not only that, it changed my whole mindset on really wholesaling, finding cash buyers. It just changed my whole mindset. And because prior to that, I was thinking I need to be a little more conservative. I've always tried to get somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 on a wholesale deal.
Yes.
I had backed off of that because I started reading the news. But with this new program that I purchased, I'm more excited. I was telling Susan, my assistant, I was like, this is a game changer. And so I'm making on this one in Woodridge.
Yes,
Woodridge. That's a $50,000 wholesale fee.
Wow.
And I got it from that program. And so I would encourage everyone either to get PropStream or I'm happy to partner with you, and because I've got the cash buyers, and we'll just split the profits. So I'm happy to do that.
Yes.
But Dorothy mentioned marketing, analyzing the deal, contract, cash buyer. She mentioned cash buyers last, because if you're able to get a deal and analyze it and put it on the contract, you've already made your money. There's a ton of cash buyers out here. If you don't have them, I have them that will buy that deal. What I see a lot of you guys doing is not being as aggressive as possible with the marketing because you don't have a cash buyers list. I tell everyone, find the deal. The investor that can find the most deals is going to make the most money. The least of your worries, if you find what we call a deal, is finding a cash buyer. That's easy. So many cash buyers out here, you guys. And we've got cash buyers that use hard money. I use hard money. But the cash buyers that I'm finding through this program that I use, they're all like, when you say cash buyers, they're truly cash buyers. Like the one you used for my Jefferson Heights
was a cash buyer.
They pay cash.
Yes.
So there's truly people out here that they're not using their line of credit. They're not using hard money, and nothing wrong with those things. But they truly have cash. And then you just have to have the tools, the proper tools. We talk about PropStream all the time to be able to find them. And if you're able to learn that, find that, I'm paying a little more for mine for various reasons. It's a game changer. Now,
And
all you really have to do is focus on finding the deals because you already have the cash buyers.
and then another thing is where we can make our mistakes is listening to the news. When the news says that the market is good, we've already gone in as investors and done what we needed to do. When they say the market is bad, I just do not listen to the news when it comes to certain things. And as long as your deal is good, if the numbers are good, the repair value is good, then you can sell your deal just like that. But know how to do Mayo. If I can't stress that enough, know how to do Mayo. That's so very, very important.
That's where you make your money.
That's where you make your money.
And then go into a little more of the marketing that you do, because I know you do postcards, you have specific lists. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I do direct mail marketing. That's my campaign. I write my letters on my own copy. And I send it. My market is tired, burned out landlords. So I buy a list, and buy a list. You can buy a list. You can buy any kind of list. If you want to buy a list of women that do yoga while eating pizza, there's a list out there for that as well. So I target it. I'm very specific. I ask for my demographics are in a certain zip code. It has to have at least 50% equity in the property. The property has to be built it depends on the area. If it's Capitol Heights, Capitol Heights and Congress Heights. If it's Capitol Heights, Maryland, Prince George's County, then I'll ask for the properties to be built, say, between 1930 and maybe 1980, 1990. If it's Congress Heights, Washington, D.C., I'll ask for about 1950 to maybe 1990. If it's Petworth, 20011, I believe it is, then I'll ask that, maybe that they were built between, 1930 to 90. And because those houses are really going to need a lot of work. And so that's why
you can buy low.
You can buy low.
And so,
but you have to negotiate. You have to negotiate because people, they want a lot of money for their property. So you have to really you have to stimulate their motivation. And even if their house needs a lot of work, they still may want a house that's selling, for after repair value. But the key is really to find people that are motivated, who need to sell. If there's a death, probate, if there's a sickness, if they're going through a divorce, foreclosure, absolutely. You have to find the people that really need to sell, and it will make it a lot easier for you. And one of the things I've started doing is if the person does want more than I'm willing to pay, I'll just go ahead and make an offer to get it under contract. But then I'm going to bring my contractor out there, and I know I'm not paying what I put on the contract, but I have several contingencies in my contract where I can legally get out without being sued. And my contracts have been blessed by attorneys. I used to do a lot of probate, and I still do, but there's a time I used to just focus primarily on probate. And so there is always an attorney involved, and then the attorney has to take it to court and the judge has to approve it. I have never had a contract rejected by an attorney or a judge. I have never had a judge or an attorney not accept my offer. So basically, whatever I put into in the atmosphere, whether it's the written word or the spoken word, I vet it first to make sure I can defend it if need be.
So Dorothy, why not flip? You wholesale. You don't flip properties. Why did you decide upon wholesaling?
Well, actually, I'm moving in that direction because my business model, which my business model for the last year has been, it's, I don't ascribe to, because it's a new year, at the turn of a clock that I'm gonna have all these new goals. I don't even make New Year resolutions. For me, I don't believe in them, because if I want it bad enough, I'm going to be consistent, dedicated, persistent, and I will persevere. And so my business model that I developed during the pandemic is I wholesale to build my liquidity so that I can build my cash reserves, so I can increase my income, so I can increase my net worth. So I'm really going after 3 to 4 unit apartment complexes to start off.
So you want to take. So I'm gonna bring Tarsha into the conversation.
Okay.
Hey, Tarsha.
Hi, Tarsha.
Can you hear us, Tarsha?
My reception is no good. I'm going to try again.
Oh, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Maybe she can't hear us. But so that's good, Dorothy. So you want to take the money from wholesaling, which I highly recommend, and then you want to build your wealth with multifamily.
And my goal is to keep my head down for about 2 to 3 years.
Stay focused.
Just keep my head down, and then make as much. Well, there is a certain amount of money that I do want to make, per month.
And so you stay away from flipping. You probably know this, but I've been flipping for years.
Yes.
I say years.
Right.
And I recently decided to do the same thing that you just mentioned: wholesale, less risk, and just take that money and then buy and hold. And so the same thing. After doing this for 30 years, that's what I've decided my strategy is. Do you have a particular area that you hold?
That I'm going? Oh, yes. I wholesale in Oxon Hill. And also I have buyers. I learned in 2011 to be like Burger King, have it your way. So I ask my buyers, what are your buying criteria? For example, I have 2 that want Bowie 20715, 16, 22, no 207, 20722. And so, but I primarily I buy my list in Oxon Hill, Fort Washington, Temple Hills. It's Hyattsville, Landover. It's kind of synonymous with what you said, Gregory. Hills, Villes, and Heights. And I buy in Petworth, 20011, and in Congress Heights, 200.
When you say you buy the list for those areas.
I buy the list. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. And one thing I've noticed about you, we've been on to projects together. When you set out to go on to the project, to the house, to look at it, you put your armor on. You come ready. It's like you put on your suit. You've got your gloves on. You've got your hat on. You got your boots on. Like you've got your armor on. You come ready for business.
Ready.
I do. And I don't care if it's a nice house, because like this one particular property on the surface is really a nice house, but you go in the basement, it was unfinished. And I don't want spiders in my hair. I don't want spiders in my ears. I don't want spiders biting my skin. It can be 95 outside, and I'm going to have on long sleeves.
I've seen it.
Yes, I'm going to have pants on, my socks, maybe my pants may be tucked in my socks, because I
was getting ready to mention that your pants are tucked in your socks.
Because I don't want mice running up my leg.
Okay.
And I think about those things when I go out. I think about those things.
And you got your nice gloves on?
Yes, yeah. I think about that because I'm in this business for the long term. I don't want to be sick, get, bit by a spider, because spiders bites can really be detrimental, to a person's health. And I had an inspector who kind of taught me the business like over 20 years, long time ago. And he told me, and another thing I don't do is go into a house that has mold. There's like 500 strands, but only 20% is toxic. But he told me he went into a house that had mold and it almost killed him. And he doesn't go. So I'm very, very careful about going into a house that has mold. I have a contractor that doesn't have a problem with that. He says he sprays and suits up, and I pay him, and he goes in there and he'll take pictures for me.
Yeah, no, I know. So you get that out your car and say, okay, here comes Dorothy. She ready. Dorothy's ready. She get ready to put this house under contract. She got her armor on.
I do.
You come ready for business.
And another thing, I don't go into being that I'm a woman, and I know a lot of women that do, but I don't go. I have a man, my contractor. I don't go into houses by myself. I haven't done that in 20 years. I just refuse to go into a house by myself. I always have the same person who goes in with me.
Good. So you're doing this full time, right?
Yes.
How long has this been full time, and what was that transition like? Because you came from the federal government, so you quit your good government job.
I did. And I resigned in 2003, and I did this full time for about 4 years, but then the recession set in and I didn't know how to adjust with that recession, and I lost money. But I was still, even though I wasn't actively, in those days, I didn't know anything about wholesaling. I had a realtor investor friend, and I would back in those days, I would door knock, and I always sent out letters. And I would get my list from the courthouse, Prince George's County. I would go to the Prince George's County. I would look at the microfiche. I would get names, and then I would send them letters, and then they would call me. I wouldn't know what to do. I talked to my investor realtor friend. He would put it on the MLS. I would get a marketing fee on the HUD one, and so that's how I started. And so I never really knew what I was doing. I didn't really figure this thing out until 2011.
And so.
Yes.
Real quick, Tarsha, when she first moved here and got started, she actually would go to the houses by herself.
Yeah. And
she would door knock certain areas. She wouldn't armor up. She didn't have her gloves and a hat and her pants tucked into her socks, but she would go. Did you ever get any spider bites, Tarsha?
See, now you're making fun of me. But Greg, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tarsha. Oh, but Greg, the reason that I stopped going into houses, because when I was doing pre-foreclosure, I went to a townhouse in Temple Hills, and this was in like the early 2000s. I was still working for the federal government, and I went into the house, and I was sitting in the kitchen, and it was a gentleman, and then another gentleman just comes through the door. And he looks at me, and then he goes upstairs, and then the other guy follows him. And then instead of leaving, I just sat there. I'm like, I don't like the way this feels. But I stayed there, and I toured the house. And then I said, if I get out of this, I will never do that again. And that's why I don't go into houses alone. I had that experience.
No, that's good. And so 2023, what are you hopeful for this year? Do you set goals? I think you said maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Absolutely.
What are you hopeful for this year?
No, okay, goals I set, but what I don't do is New Year resolutions. Yeah. Because I'm not going to let the turn of a clock determine. It's really about new you. It's not about New Year. It's about new you. So my goal.
I set a New Year's resolution for losing weight.
Yeah, but that. I gained weight during the pandemic, and I'm slowly losing it. And I gained probably 10 pounds. But when I thought about it, I said, you know what, I'll take my time and lose it, because when I gained the weight, it wasn't because I was depressed. I took, well, from the lockdown, the first maybe 6 months of the lockdown, I would get up every morning. I would pray. I would, read the Bible. I would shower, of course, run to 7-Eleven, get my coffee, come back. I would spend an hour writing 10 things that I'm grateful for. I would spend an hour writing the best results that I can imagine for building my business. I would read a chapter on marketing, a chapter on neuro-linguistic programming, and a chapter on negotiating. That was 4 hours. After the 4 hours,
that was just too much, Dorothy. You did too much.
After the 4 hours, I would treat myself to Uber Eats, and that might be a pizza. So like Domino's would have a special, get 2 mediums. I would have one that day, one the next day. If I ordered, and that's how I rewarded myself every day. And so when I put on so all I was wearing was like sweatpants. We weren't going anywhere. So when I finally put on pants, I had the nerve to be shocked that my pants didn't fit. And I was eating like that for like months. So my point is, I gained weight, but I said, I'll take my time and lose it. It wasn't that I was depressed. I was enjoying myself. I established new rhythms and new routines and new systems and new strategies, which caused me to make more money in 2021 than I have made, in a very long time. 2021 was a very good year for me because of how I treated the pandemic. So my point to you is, Greg, take your time, lose the weight. You don't have to be in a hurry. That's my whole point.
I'm giving myself 90 days.
Okay. Well, but did it take you 90 days to gain the weight?
No, it took longer than that.
Well, see, yeah, you have to be patient with yourself and kind to yourself.
Yeah, but I just kind of want it off before the summer starts.
Okay.
I just want to, I'm tired of wearing these oversized sweaters and things like that to hide this. So I figure in 90 days, it'll be time to take off the sweaters, and I want to be ready.
You have a class reunion to go to also, Greg.
Yeah. And so I got things to do, people to see, Dorothy. And so I'm working, I'm in the gym. I'm working out really hard. I'm trying to eat healthy. And so I'm trying to get it off in 90 days.
No, and that's good. But really, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. There's people that would trade places with you at any time. There are people that can't, I just look at, and then the way I look, okay, I gain weight, but I'm losing it. But I said, there are people that would love to be me. I mean, in terms of, there are people that can't even get out of the bed without help.
I mean, I would trade places with people who are fit and don't need to lose weight. I'll trade places with them.
Well, okay. Well, you're willing, to put in the work, but all I'm saying is just be thankful. I'm thankful for whatever stage I'm at. That's all I'm saying about me. And I was just imparting that wisdom to you. That's all.
Okay. All right. You were talking about your goals for this year. Go ahead and elaborate.
Well, my goals are what they have been, for the last year, to make a certain amount of money, to send out a certain amount of, letters, because I know my metrics. I know that if I send out 800 letters per week, I'm going to talk to 8 to 10 people, and I'm going to close on 1 deal per week. So your metrics are very, very important.
Say that one more time. You mentioned this a lot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You're going to send out 800 letters a week. It sounds like you're going to talk to about 10% of them. And out of that 10%,
I'm going to talk to more like 1%, because 10% of 800 would be 80.
Eight.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm going to talk to 8 to 10 people.
Okay. So that's 1%, and you're going to close at least one.
Yeah.
So you know your numbers. So you just got to
Absolutely. I learned that during the pandemic. Now for you or other people, it could be something else. But for me, if I send out 800 a week, and then I prefer to send it out weekly because I like my phone to ring all the time. I found if I send out like a bunch at one time, like 1,600, 2,000, then my phone will ring off the hook, and then it will just, decrease. But I prefer to have people calling me all the time because I like talking to people. It keeps me sharp.
Okay. And so bringing Tarsha into the conversation. Tarsha, why don't you unmute yourself? You've known Dorothy for a while. Can you hear us, Tarsha?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Tarsha. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Fine. It's nice to see you.
Likewise. You're
Thank
looking
you.
good, Dorothy.
Thank you. You look good as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I think you've heard some of the conversation in terms of the marketing and so what's your impression on that, especially compared to when you got started and some of the things that you were doing?
So I think one takeaway is Dorothy's consistency and persistence and coming up with a plan and sticking to the plan. And so I think it's very admirable, and it's something that myself, like as I listen to her, I think I need to stick to a plan and not give up and not deviate and not let anybody cause me to deviate. Just stick to whatever my plan is, whatever my niche is, and go with it. So that's what I hear Dorothy basically articulating, is that she, over the years, has identified what works for her. She knows her metrics, which is, again, very impressive that you've been able to kind of put pen to paper and conduct that analysis to know exactly what the numbers are. And it seems, I love your enthusiasm. I love your commitment. And I love that, in any situation or circumstance or market, it seems like you keep going. And that's very encouraging. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you, Tarsha, for those lovely words. And while you were speaking, I thought about something. I was watching. I was watching the game. I was talking to Greg earlier tonight about the game last night. The Buccaneers and the Cowboys, and I was saying, how is it that a coach, the mindset that the coach has to instill in his players for them to bounce back. That 12-4 Dallas Cowboy team came into Landover to FedEx Field, and the Commanders beat them 26-6. But then the next week they bounce back and blow out pretty much the Buccaneers. But there's something that goes on in the psyche that you're a winner because you've demonstrated that you've won before. And even though you come into FedEx Field and get annihilated, you bounce back and go into Tampa Bay and you blow them out. And again, you can't be afraid to fall. That's the only way you're going to learn, is to fall. One day I will just briefly tell my story about how many times I have fallen and some of the places that I've ended up. But you couldn't convince me during those days that I was not a successful real estate entrepreneur. And if you did not have access to me. You could have been my friend. If you'd have said, Dorothy, you're struggling. Well, I know that. So, you don't even have access to me anymore.
Yeah,
And that's how
I like to say, Dorothy, that defeat is not in the fall, but in the failure to rise.
Absolutely.
And so we know, and I know Keith and Tarsha know that the Cowboys, they fell when they came here.
They must be Cowboy fans.
I think Tarsha's a Cowboys fan. Keith's not.
Oh, okay.
And so I think she was really depressed when they lost. But then they came back, and she was overjoyed last night when they won. Now she's looking forward to them going to San Francisco, right, Tarsha?
Just say yes.
I'm agreeing.
They're going to San Francisco next week, Sunday night. Are you throwing a party that night, Tarsha?
No, but okay. So he's making fun of me because I have no interest in sports at all. But I think the point is well taken, though, and I think anyone can say. I remember when I first met Greg, I asked him, like, how did you become who you are? And he said sports, and I had no idea what he was talking about, because I personally just never participated in sports at a level that I understood the competitiveness and the persistence and the perseverance even in the face of defeat, which is what you just described. And so, but I think the point is well taken and can be kind of applied to our lives in general. And that is number one, what you just said was the coach. Like, who are you surrounding yourself with that encourages you and that motivates you and that keeps you going? But then two, you have to be your own coach, and you have to like find the strength within to keep pushing. And that's hard. Like, it's hard for me. I'm sure it's hard for a lot of people that are listening. And then I think the team too, like who's around you that's supporting you and that's helping you to grow, and helping you to meet your goals. And what are your goals? So their goal is to win. Any athlete, their goal is to win. That guy that just, got hurt, had the heart attack or whatever he had on the field, I think he asked in the when he got up, did we win? And the point is that competitive nature and that desire to be successful is all important, even in what we do. And I think a lot of the analogies apply here, and that's why you got to keep going. And sometimes it's hard. And I think, Dorothy, being around people like you, maybe I need to start hanging out with you more, and then I'd have your drive and the days when I'm feeling like, good God, what have I done? Maybe I need to pick up the phone and call you, and Absolutely. I'll feel better about my decision to exit my career and do this full time. So your phone will be ringing, Dorothy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell my family and my close friends, I say, I'm never too busy for family and close friends. If I'm really working on something, I'll answer the phone. Is this important? If they say yes, I'll drop what I'm doing. But if they say, well, can we, I just called, so let's talk later. So no, I encourage you, to call me. Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's chat. Because I have been in places, and this is just speaking to people who may not be excelling the way they think they should be, but you have to be patient with yourself, number one. And number two, sometimes you may be the only one to encourage yourself. And sometimes you may have to just like reach way down to pick yourself up. But I found something on, I ascribe to these affirmations. And this is what came on my email just the other day. It says, if you want to be happy, do not dwell in the past. Do not worry about the future. Focus on living fully in the present. And the author of that, his name is Roy T. Bennett. He was an author. He died in 2014. So don't, just do the best you can do today, because tomorrow's not promised. Like I once heard, yesterday is in the tomb, tomorrow's in the womb. Today is the only day we have. So what are we going to do with this day? And it's not like I don't, have days where I don't want to get up, but I pull myself up because I know what it's like to be, I don't want to say rock bottom, but I know what it's like to be at rock bottom. I mean, I know. And it came from, learning this business, because I left my government job and I just set out on a path. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I had to really learn and teach myself. But now I surround myself with very successful people. I have Greg, I have other mentors, and I take this very seriously because I know what the other side of not doing what you're supposed to do looks like. I've lived it and I've come out of
it. I think that that you're preaching the gospel, Dorothy.
Oh. I told
you. Drop the mic, Dorothy. Drop the mic.
I'm sorry.
Drop the mic.
I told you I'm a woman of faith through Christ Jesus. And that just comes out. I can't not say that.
So Keith has got a question for us, for the three of us.
Appreciate the words, Dorothy and Tarsha. So here's a question, Greg, that came in from Karen Parrish. Karen always has a question, but the funny thing is, the people that bring questions, they seems to be the people that all of a sudden get in front of opportunities. So I would encourage everyone to, bring a question into these meetings. Greg, Karen's question is a probate question. What happens when the probate, in the probate process, when the personal representative becomes incapacitated and there's no attorney on record?
And so what generally happens is, so basically what we're saying is there's no personal representative, because there was a personal representative. Now there's no longer a personal representative. The state is probably open. If there's heirs, and the heirs, if they can't agree to a new personal representative, then the judge will assign another attorney or an attorney. So the judge will assign, there'll be a court-appointed attorney that will be basically the executor or the personal representative of the estate. Now, I don't know, Dorothy or maybe even Tarsha might want to elaborate, but that's what happens.
So, Greg, let me add this. This is the second part to this question. Can another family member step in during this incapacitated period? I guess in this situation, this person is in the hospital ICU, and evidently there's a certain period that they are the family rep. Karen, if you're out there, you may want to elaborate on that a bit.
But yeah, they can, as long as the heirs agree. As long as they agree, that yeah, you can always change personal representatives.
I remember there was a deal I worked on several years ago in Washington, D.C., and the person was a personal representative, but this person was a convicted felon. And so I don't know if this is a federal law or if it pertains to Washington, D.C., but because this person was a convicted felon, they could not be personal representative, and the court appointed an attorney. And then the attorney was sick and passed away. And I believe the person who could not be the personal representative went back down to the probate office and just pulled an attorney. And then through the proper procedure, that attorney became the personal representative of the estate, because the person who was a convicted felon, I believe, violated their parole and ended back in jail. And I went to visit that person at the DC jail, and it caused us to, instead of closing in September, we closed in December.
Wow.
I hope that may help. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Any comments, Tarsha?
No, everything you guys said is right, is absolutely correct. They'll just appoint another individual, whether it's a family member or a court-appointed attorney, to act in that capacity.
Okay. Is there any other questions, Keith?
No, sir.
So to kind of wrap this up, first, Tarsha, we talked when we started about the market. And any new news about the market or interest rates or where we're going or what we can look forward to as the year goes on?
So the Fed's going to raise the rate again in February. That does mean that interest rates will likely rise a little bit again, as it relates to mortgages and lenders. You can anticipate another rise in the rates shortly. The long-term forecast appears that we'll be in a recession for 2023. And what that means, can you guys hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Off and on, but go ahead.
Are you able
Yes.
to hear me?
Yes.
Maybe she can't hear us.
But I want to just say to your students, if you have any questions, ask us, because there are no dumb questions. And the question that you may have, someone else may have that same question. And we're not going to laugh at you. So please ask the question.
And so, Dorothy, while Tarsha's coming back on, what advice would you give everybody as we wrap up?
Take action, take action, take action. Don't be afraid to fall, because I tell people this. If for people that have, I used to tell my girlfriend this. I'll just put it that way. When she can sometimes be afraid to take action, and she has a son that's like 11 or 12, and I said, do you realize if your son, when he began to transition from crawling to walking, if once he failed, if he decided to just stay on the floor, you would have like an 11-year-old invalid. So you can't be afraid to fall. You watch your babies, they get up and they start to walk and they fall, and then they get up and they plop down and they cry, but they get back up, and then eventually, they're just walking. So even though you fail, it's okay. Get back up, dust yourself off, and keep it moving.
And to expound on that, when Dorothy talks about take action, take action, take action, the action that she's talking about primarily is, number one, mindset. Karen mentioned this earlier, mindset, getting your mind right. But then the work is the marketing. And she mentioned sort of 4 different pillars. And she started off with marketing. And I'll repeat what I said earlier. The investor that can find the most deals is going to make the most money. And so for me, even now, every single day, that's all I think about. There's not a day goes by, almost a moment, that I don't think about marketing and our marketing strategy, who's doing what, is this particular strategy working, my appointments, my follow-ups. We've got a spreadsheet of potential deals that we didn't get, deals we got, short sales, that kind of thing. And so when we talk about taking action, know what type of marketing that you're going to do, and just stay consistent. Have a plan like Dorothy has. Have a plan and just do it. And then we always say the fortune is in the follow-up. You just got to keep following up. The lady I met with yesterday, one of the ladies, I'm going to follow up. And I told her, I asked her, I said, when can I follow up with you? She said, by the end of the week. And I said, I'm going to call you by the end of the week. Thank you so much for allowing me to come out. I'm going to follow up with her. And hopefully we get it. Did you want to continue real quick, Tarsha?
Yeah, my reception is pretty bad tonight, but the market is going, we're heading into a recession. And if you listen to the economists, if you watch what the big companies are doing, they are hedging and they are preparing. And so we just need to do the same and prepare and hedge and create your reserves and your cushion, and keep pushing. Like, they're still going to be making money even though there's going to be a recession. They're just making sure that they are putting the measures in place to protect themselves during that period of time. Netflix, interestingly, Netflix was doing really badly in 2021. I guess when people came off the pandemic, they stopped watching Netflix as much. And so the stock dropped. They were concerned that nobody was going to watch Netflix anymore, but they changed their strategy, and they changed the pool of people that they went after. They changed their marketing strategy. You guys talk about marketing. They totally changed their marketing strategy. Their content, the types of movies that they put out there. And it was very interesting to hear the CEO talk about what they did to recover from that period of time when everybody was saying they're going under. And they didn't go under. They exceeded their forecast, and they anticipate in 2022 bouncing right back. And I think my takeaway from that discussion was we have to pivot and we have to prepare, and we can't pretend like something isn't on the horizon. We just have to prepare for it. And for each of us, that's a different strategy. That's, a different approach. But all of us need to have a strategy, anticipate what's coming, and be realistic about it, but don't give up. And that was what I took away from listening to the Netflix folks on the news talk about how they bounced back. And there's so many other companies that some go under, some don't. But I think for me, listening to what's going to be happening, the recession is coming, but they're preparing. And for example, like Elon Musk, he's getting sued in court for some Twitter for securities fraud. And if it wasn't Elon Musk, he'd probably be like, I'm done. But Elon Musk is like, I'm not done. I'm going to go through the securities fraud trial, and I'm going to keep pushing. And again, my takeaway was these guys, they persevere, and they push, and they don't let anything stop their success. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to tell myself is like, okay, what do I personally need to do to prepare, to create the cushion so that I can keep going and succeed and meet all of my goals. So that's what I encourage everybody who's listening tonight to do in light of what's going to happen in the market. We know it's coming. We know that there'll be a recession. So start saving. Look at your bank account. Look where you can cut expenses. Look where you can save money. Decide what your income stream is going to be, and make sure that you start to focus on that so that if things slow down, or not if, when they do, you're prepared and you can weather the storm, and you don't have to look back and say, I crashed when the economy crashed. You can say, I prevailed because I prepared. I had a plan. I persevered with my plan, and I rose above, and I came out of this stronger and better. And maybe I'm talking to myself, but that was my takeaway from the market this morning when I listened. That was my takeaway.
Yeah.
And so with the market, with us slipping into a recession, for us investors, for me, when you said all of that, for me, what rang in my head was opportunity. Unfortunately, because of all of that, there's lots of opportunity. When we went into a recession in 2007, 2008, there was opportunity for us investors, because recession for some, it's a detriment, and they don't survive, and they lose jobs. I mean, we talk all the time about major companies cutting payroll and cutting a certain percentage of their workforce. So people will be getting laid off. But for investors, unfortunately, there's just a ton of opportunity. And so you've got to be a opportunist and prepare yourself. How do you prepare yourself? Make sure work on your credit, make sure you save your money. That's how you become an opportunist, to take advantage. I bought properties during the recession. I actually built my real estate brokerage. I bought a real estate franchise in 2007 at the beginning of the recession. By the time we came out, I had number one brokerage in the area, because I just kept going, kept my head down, like Dorothy talked about, and just stayed focused, kept recruiting during the recession. And it was the same, we were buying houses during the recession. So lots of opportunity. Couple quick questions and we'll get you out of here. Tarsha, is there a loan for land acquisition and construction together?
Yes, there typically the loans for lots are coupled with the funds for construction as well. And so, yes, if the construction is for purposes of building a residential property, yes, there is a loan available for that.
Mm-hmm. Was it construction or loan to perm or something like that? Is that what it's called?
Yes. So basically, they give you the money to acquire the land, the lot, and then they give you the funds to construct the the residents on the lot, correct? And during the period of time that you're constructing, it typically is an interest-only loan, and then it converts over to regular principal, interest, taxes, insurance, 30-year fixed, once the property's actually constructed.
And then Charlene's just asking me where I get my signs from. I get it from this company called Signs by Tomorrow. And we use the office in Beltsville. So Signs by Tomorrow is what we use. So I want to thank you guys, Dorothy. It's 9:15. I know you. We go to bed at what is it, 9:30? So we're like up on your bedtime.
You make me laugh, Greg. Thank you.
That's what you told me. You was like,
I did. I sure did.
You implied that we need to be done by 9 o'clock.
No, I was prepared. I was prepared, but I tend to go to bed kind of like on the early side, but it's okay.
Okay, I do too. All right, you guys. And so look, Keith, any last words?
No, but good conversation, Dorothy, Tarsha. I appreciate you guys being on this call.
I appreciate you. Tarsha, feel free to call.
Yeah, and Karen,
Great, thank you for that.
yeah, Karen, I'll call you first thing in the morning, Karen. So here for me, the overall theme is the market is such that there's lots of opportunity. We've got to be opportunists. We have to take action, and we've got to get started now. 2023, we're in the first month, but this month is going to be over in another 2 weeks. Then we're in February, and so we've got to get started now. The key to your success is the marketing. We talked a lot about wholesaling, but if you want to fix and flip, if you want to buy and hold, whatever you want to do, but let's focus on the marketing. Let's focus on our credit. Let's focus on saving money. Let's focus on attending these types of events, because you're learning, you're staying motivated, you're around like-minded people. We do a number of lunch and learns. If you're not part of our coaching program, our Platinum Coaching Program, get with us. Contact me, contact Keith. We'd love to have you. Keith, we didn't talk in our meeting today, but I think I would like to take out the students Saturday if possible.
Okay.
Or unless we have another date on the schedule.
Okay.
I'd like to get with them some type of face-to-face, preferably out in the field on Saturday. We'll take them out and we'll shadow. We'll go to a couple properties. And so if you want to be a part of that and you're not part of our coaching program, contact me, GB Schedule, contact Keith, kbschedule.com. And we'd love for you to be part of our community. All right, you guys, Dorothy's getting ready to turn into a pumpkin. We need to let her go so she can get her beauty sleep.
That's not true, Gregory. I mean, the part about turning into a pumpkin. I mean, I'm good. I'm enjoying this. And
I just want to thank everybody on here. We're way past. We normally do this for an hour. We're at 9:18. You guys are still here. So what that tells me is you guys are hungry and you want to learn and you're motivated and you're going to make this year your best year ever. And that's all we can do. And like Dorothy said earlier, it's not a perfect science. It's not an exact science. There's pitfalls. There's hurdles to overcome. There's learning curves. But we can do it. We can all do it together. Don't try to be the smartest person in the room. Even I have questions at times. I'll go to people. Come to us. Use us as a resource. Don't try to, in most cases, let me figure it out for you. In 30 years, I probably have experienced whatever you're going through. But get the help that you need. Know that you're not on the island by yourself. That's not your issue. Your issue is, I don't know who to turn to. I don't have mentorship. I don't have coaching. That's not going to be, we throw that out the window. Your issue for your success is you weren't consistent. You didn't do any marketing. You don't have a plan. You don't know your numbers. that kind of thing. You don't know how to negotiate, you analyze everything that Dorothy mentioned. And so we've got to learn all that. And we can learn all that. Just like Dorothy learned it, I learned it, we all learned it. You can learn it too. So let's make 2023 our best year ever. And part of that is making it our best year ever is we have to buy and hold at least one property. At least one makes 2023 a great year.
Absolutely.
If you can leave out in 12 months with more cash flow, passive income, with more equity, your net worth has gone up this year by just one property, great year. It was a great year. And so that's what we want. That's what I want for you. And hopefully you want more. I know there's a few of you guys are saying, I'm going to do more, but let's go. Let's get it. And let's persevere. Let's keep going. Know exactly what you're going to do tomorrow. Are you going to go driving for dollars? Are you going to get a list to call? Whatever that may be. But let's go. Let's not have analysis paralysis. Let's take action. And let's take action starting tomorrow. All right, you guys. Take care, everybody. God bless. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Good night, guys. Take care.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.